So we got the wheel off, and you can see they broke off clean, 2 of them, and then this one's starting to try to act up, so I'm just going to go ahead and replace them all. So I have to take off both calipers and the rotor to be able to get to the hub. So, alright, here we go. Alright, so we got the lug studs pulled off, so you can see that one's broke and that one's broke. So that's what we're working on. I had to take the Willwood dual caliper and the bracket and all that stuff had to come back off to get to it. So that's one of them jobs where you got to do it to get where you need to be. It sucks, but it's what it is. Alright, so when you get to your lugs, it's pretty simple. You just need something to knock them out with, and I use this. You can get a 3-pound sledge. I don't have one with me, so you just get a good, and it's aluminum, it don't bend everything and beat everything up. That's pretty much it. You just knock them out. Everything's good and solid. You don't knock nothing loose with this. Yeah, it's pretty simple. You get all 5 of them out, you go get your new ones, you reinstall. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll get one of the lugs started. I'll peck it in here, and I'll get an open end lug, but you see these have like that angle, so keep in mind that'll go in that hole and hit the back of the stud before it pulls all the way through. But I'll take my impact, run it all the way down, and it'll pull it up in there, and I'll soak them down with PB Blast before I pull them through. And so I'll pull them through, and it'll leave just a little on the back. It'll leave it out just a hair, and I'll flip these over, these style, and you can see how like that slick tapered that way. Well, I'll flip them over, which one of them, and I'll run them on. And so when this gets all the way to the bottom, you'll take your wrench and you'll run it all the way to the bottom. And once you get it all the way down, which you'll see on the back of it, there'll be just a little sticking out where it's not all the way in. And you'll run this thing all the way to, from my wrench. All the way to where there's just a little bit sticking out there. And this is how I do it when I don't have the press piece. And so you'll get this, and you'll end up having to put a good turn or 2 in it. And be mindful of the back where the back sticks out a little bit, and so you'll be able to feel your gap here. And you take this and you just cinch down on it, and it'll pull that last little bit in. And that's how I do mine. I've been doing it for years. But you got to watch, because these will actually touch the back of they'll actually go inside this hole here, and they will touch the back of your stud. And I usually don't have any issues with them being centered, and I haven't set my rotor up, so this will be the one time that it doesn't center. So, and like literally, I mean, it works for me, it always has. And so that's what I get. And I pull them up with my studs, but I get some old ones that I can trash. I don't use my good ones because it will damage them up. And it may just watch golding the threads up. You got to take your time. You've seen I had to wrench that one on. It was the nut, not the threads here. But you don't want to pull your threads to where it's making them angled this way. But where it happens is on the back of the thread anyway, and when you tighten the wheel, you'll never be that close to the back of the plate here. It's worked for me for years, and I've changed a ton of them things. And so now the process of putting it all back together. But like I say, I don't use my good lugs. I use some throwaway lugs for this, and I use some that aren't gauted up, so you don't want to damage your threads. So, and it's worked for me. Like I say, I've done it a ton. Seems to always work. Just be mindful, if it's got that taper on it, that will sink inside there. That will draw inside there and follow that contour inside that hole. Well, and I use that to center it. That keeps my stud straight, is this piece. And then when I get it there, I'll flip it over and wrench it until I pull that last little bit of the tail. It usually gets it all, but just a little, and then I'll pull it just a little more, and that'll sink that last little bit. And like I say, I've never had one that wouldn't land flush. It's always worked for me. So just don't overdo these when they bottom out, and know when that angle is bottoming out. It's as far tight as it will go with that angled bottom on the, I keep saying angled bottom. This is what I'm talking about. See, that will actually hit the back of the stud before it pulls it out far enough in. You see how I went too far on this one? How it left it kind of shaped that way? I went too far on this one, so over tighten that one. But it'll pull it so far, and then again you can flip it over, and this will pull it that last little bit. So I always use the angled piece to keep it centered. So once that buries in there, that should center that lug. When you tighten it up, it keeps it centered, and then you get it as far as it'll go until this touches. Back this off, flip it over, and run it, and that'll pull that last little bit. So that works for me. And I've done it on a ton of different cars. It is a little bit of a workout, so make sure you got you a pretty good size bar, but just don't overdo these lugs. I mean, just make sure where they pull through that's lubricated. Put some kind of PB Blast, some kind of something, clean those. I sprayed a PB Blast and I kind of wiggle my finger in there to knock any dust or rust out. So just make sure there's no burrs or no real bad rust inside those the little lines on the inside of this. But that always works for me. All right, here we go. We had the brakes, all that stuff off, the dual calipers, and we put new studs on it. So we got our new studs on, and so we just have to put this assembly back together. We'll bolt check it, and then I've bolt checked the front. Then we got to do an oil change. We'll bolt check the rest of the car, and then one of the fans aren't working like it should. We'll go through that. We'll check for leaks. We'll top off all the fluids and get it ready to go drifting again. And we are going through some tires. So that's pretty much where we're at. I've got a video of how to put this kit on, this Wheelwood kit. So if you want to look that up, that'll show you how to put this kit on, because it's a little bit of a pain. And so I'm gonna get this put back on, and then we'll get started back on bolt checking and oil change. All right, here we go. All right, so here we are again, doing an oil change on the IS300. And like always, on any car, when you drop the oil plug, look in the oil, kind of watch it. Even if you have to let this thing down some, you want to try to see if you see any debris, any kind of silver reflection. Silver reflection's bad. That's bearing material. And we run this car hard. My son, he runs this car hard. So we got to keep an eye on it. We got to, check all the fluids, keep everything. We go. As hot as it's been, we've been running probably 2 drift days and topping it off, and then change the oil after the second drift day. So try to keep it clean. We don't run a high performance oil, we run STP, and we just keep it changed after 2 hard driving days. So just keep your vehicle maintained. As far as drifting, it's not likely that you're going to blow up your car super often you're not going to have problems, but you will have some problems, issues, and you may just have a motor that's just not able to withstand that. But you can go through 10 cars and one of them may not ever be able to drift. It's just going to fall apart. And you may have one that, you know, the motor's just ready to pop. You go out here and you start beating on it and it just, there you are, you know. So try to maintain it best you can, but it's a risk you take when you drive a car like this and do that. So all right, here we go.
I'm feeling high.